What screams insecurity but most people don't realize? When you achieve something or improve your life in any way, and their first instinct is to tease or make fun of you, it actually screams instant jealousy. I went back to school and a judgmental friend said, "Well, how old will you be when you're done?" I said, "Probably the same age I'd be if I never went back." This is an awesome reply, love it. I graduated in 2021 with my first degree in electronics engineering. I was 52 years old. My mom said this when I told her and said it in a mocking tone. "Oh, now that you got a degree, don't you think you're too old to use it to get a job or use it for anything?" You never expect your own mother to be a jealous, competitive jerk, but mine is because she is a narcissist. My husband finished his degree this year and his grandma, right after the ceremony, asked him when he was gonna get a real degree. "Right after you get yours, Grandma?" Fuck off. Always having something negative to say when something good happens to someone else. For example, "Oh, you're going to hate that new job." Or, "They should have done X instead." Just be happy that someone else is happy. When they found a point that makes them look better than the other person and continue to overstay on that point. Edit. The situation is subjective, and I'm talking about the situation whereby the person punches down on someone to make themselves feel good. I did not mean for a person who requires positive affirmations. Never apologizing. Some people will twist the story, change the way it happened, and retell it so convincingly that they'll believe their own nonsense, but will never apologize. I struggle with this into my early 30s. Not from a place of narcissism or gaslighting, I hope, but something that came out during therapy. My dad would frequently say, "Sorry isn't good enough," to me whenever I did something bad or wrong. It really punched me in the face when I realized that him instilling into me that apologizing wasn't good enough really made it hard for me to do that as an adult. Therapy is wild, man. Edit. I'll clarify because I'm seeing it a lot in the comments. This would be a good sentiment like, "Actions speak louder than words." Except he never taught me that. He ended the conversation with, "Sorry isn't good enough," instead of telling me why it wasn't good enough. There was no lesson to be learned at my young age, because he wasn't teaching one. He also absolutely hated any kind of defense/excuse, whether or not I was in the right. It was always, "Obey me out of love or obey me out of fear, your choice." I told my dad I'd put myself in a timeout after I got mad and broke something in front of my toddler. My reasoning being that you have to practice what you preach, right? His response, "Never tell your kid that you are wrong." It made me realize his "I'm right, you're wrong" / required obedience was why I'd always folded before authority, hate getting into serious conversations where I have to defend myself, always would back down from an employer and not stand up for myself. When I was older he'd say, "You have to stick up for yourself." But Dad, what did you condition me towards for my entire childhood? Not to dig too hard on my dad, because we're all often good and shitty at the same time. Constantly talking shit on other people for an inflated sense of self-worth. Used to have a friend that was really fixated on bad-mouthing a specific girl. With time I realized that everything my friend hated about this other girl were things she actually did as well, so she was just insecure about her own flaws and projecting. That friendship didn't last long. Taking a situation that was never about you or had you involved in it, and somehow making it all about yourself and playing victim, even though you had meddle in it, and make yourself the victim. My wife's boss fired someone recently, and has been going on for 3 days about how hard it was to do that. Even calling my wife at home to profess her broken emotional state over it. "Girl, you weren't the one who got fired before Christmas, and you could have waited the 2 weeks if it's so much on your conscience." Ridiculing other people's achievements. Yeah, but is it even a big deal to be queen of the grapes? What even is that? It definitely is a big deal. Why, but I read this as, I identify as a big deal. And I'm gonna go ahead and start using this to hype myself up going forward, lol. On the flip side, being open about your insecurities and really trying to overcome them is a great character trait. I see a lot of comments here branding common insecurities as red flags, and I don't think one should consider insecurities inherently evil. Being insecure doesn't make you a bad person. It's how you let your struggles control you that defines whether they are problematic or not. Edit. Here comes a cliché, but thanks for all the awards. I actually wrote this message the night before my birthday and didn't expect anyone to read it, so waking up to all the wholesome messages and positivity was a very nice present. Thank you all! Man, I have an employee like this. He ribs people and talks shit all day long. The instant someone fires a shot back, it's the end of the world. 48-year-old crybaby. My SIL in a nutshell, she gives everyone shit all the time, the second people dish it back she can't take it. Putting other people down and bragging. Never trust a friend who speaks ill of his comrades. One of my coworkers trashes everyone we work with, and finally one day I asked him what he called me when he was discussing me with others. Exactly. I have a neighbor like this. Has something to say about every other neighbor. One day when she was particularly annoying, I said, "I wonder what you tell them about me." She avoided me after that. In terms of leadership, it's when someone can't, or won't, take input from the rest of their team and tries to act like they have all the answers. I was this type of insecure leader once, and I thought that if I used the idea of someone with less experience, then everyone would think I was a weak leader. But after I was removed from that position, I had to work for a lot of managers who did a lot of the same stupid shit that I was doing, but magnified due to years of insecurity/habit/karma. I have since learned that if I hear people out, discuss a course of action, go with other people's ideas, and especially give them credit, you gain exponentially more influence and respect. That even people who have little experience should have their input considered. I feel horrible for the people who had to work with me, but now I don't just act like a more capable leader, I am a more capable leader. Shakespearean TLDR. Take every man's censure, but reserve thy judgment.